Today we are going to have our next unit, that is about the government intervention in the microeconomy. So we all know, when market forces are left alone to allocate resources in the economy, so they have undesirable outcomes. What are those undesirable outcomes which are present in the free market economy, and it needs the government intervention? Clear? So what are those undesirable outcomes? They are the presence of externalities. We studied in our previous lessons. What do we mean by externalities? And if they are left with the market forces of demand and supply, there will be allocative inefficiency performed by the market forces of demand and supply. In case of positive externalities, there will be under allocation of resources by the market forces, because the positive externalities are having more social benefit than the private benefits perceived by the consumers. Whereas the negative externalities, they have over allocation of resources by the market forces of demand and supply, and which is also the reason there is going to be economic inefficiency. Okay? Same is the case in the provision of public goods. The market forces of demand and supply, they do not supply us the public goods. The market of public goods is missing in the free market economy. Although these goods are demanded by the people of a country, that they should be provided defense, they should be provided road networks, bridges, and many other things which are going to be essential as a community life. But market forces are not allocating any of the resource in the production of those public goods. So I said the market forces are having the presence of externalities, and they are having non-provision of public goods. And we can also have some of the things which are causing the deadweight loss in the free market economy. What is the deadweight loss? That is monopoly and deadweight loss. Okay? So monopoly, where we find a single seller and he is the price setter, he causes the consumer welfare to decrease by setting a higher price. He will reduce, or he will convert the consumer surplus into producer surplus. So a society will face a deadweight loss or welfare loss. So the free market economy can have the deadweight loss. Externalities are also being caused by the market forces of demand and supply, and we also find the economic inefficiency of the market forces in the provision of merit goods and demerit goods. So these are the inefficient parts of the free market economy, and another outcome is that which is widely present in case of free market economies, that is unfair distribution of income and wealth, which is not due to the market forces or demand and supply, but the resources, they are not distributed equally or fairly, and that's why we find a huge gap between rich class and poor class of the society. So we find these things, if they are present, an unequal distribution of income is there. What is that? Unequal free market economy, they are also suffering from poverty. So when these things are outcomes of free market economy and market forces are themselves unable to correct these market failures or unequal distribution of income and wealth or the net by losses created by the imperfect market structure. So it needs the government intervention, a third party intervention should be required. And when government is playing its role in the free market economy, that free market economy will not be called as a free market, but it will become a mixed economy. How we reach to the mixed economic system? Through the government intervention. When government is playing its role to improve economic efficiency, to have more equal or fair distribution of income in the society, or to remove the debt-weight losses which are created by the imperfect competitors. So we say that economy will be no more a free market economy, rather it will be a mixed economy. So what are the government objectives? What are the government objectives to intervene or to interfere in the free market economy? What are those objectives? The first objective is that to bring in economic efficiency. What government is going to do? It is bringing in economic efficiency which is caused by the non-perennial public goods or the debt-weight losses or merit and demerit goods. So government will try to bring in economic efficiency. What is the second objective of the government? That is to achieve equity or fair distribution of income or fair distribution of income and wealth. Distribution of income and wealth. Alright. So these are the two objectives of government microeconomic intervention. Keep it in mind when we talk about micro intervention, we are not going to study the fiscal policy or monetary policy or supply side policies. They are the macroeconomic intervention of the government. They will have a countrywide objective of achieving the economic goals, macroeconomic goals. When we talk about fiscal policy, monetary policy or supply side policies or exchange rate policies, so in that way government was going to have the fulfillment of the macroeconomic goals, like economic growth, like inflation to be under control, or there should be low inflation rate, low unemployment, balance of payment equilibrium and stable exchange rate. Some of the students, whenever there is a question about microeconomic government intervention, they write all the fiscal and monetary policies. That's the wrong way. When we talk about microeconomics, so this is only covering one market like externalities, or one market about merit and demerit goods, or this is going to have the study about microeconomic study of monopoly or public goods. Although they are also mixed with, there can be some part of fiscal policy which is going to be adopted in case of microeconomic intervention. But keep it in mind, so microeconomic objectives, they are more related to economic efficiency and equity. Do you think these two objectives can be simultaneously achieved by the government? Once government tries to achieve economic efficiency, like externalities, they are going to be internalized. The negative externalities, they are internalized by using indirect taxes. So indirect taxes are regressive in nature. They will have more unequal distribution of income and wealth. They will have more impact or burden or incidence of tax more on the poor people, because indirect taxes are regressive in nature. So once government tries to bring in economic efficiency, it is disturbing the subjective equity. Okay, and sometimes government is going to have more fair distribution of income and wealth, and it increases the progressive taxation, which causes a disincentive to hard work. And whenever there is disincentive to hard work, many of the workers, they will leave the labor market and they will get retired in their early age, before the old age. Or some of the public limited companies, they will be discouraged to invest whenever there is more increase in corporate tax, which is imposed on the profit of corporations or public limited companies. They will be discouraged. So in that way, when government is going to achieve equity, it may disturb efficiency, and when it tries to bring in economic efficiency, it is disturbing equity. So both government objectives cannot be achieved simultaneously. They need to be addressed separately, or we need to have side by side economic tools which should be adopted by the government to bring in all the economic objectives into their range. Now I want to tell you what is the meaning of debt rate laws created by the monopoly producer. Okay, do you remember the consumer surplus and producer surplus we studied in our previous class? So consumer surplus shows what the consumer welfare, whereas the producer surplus shows the producer welfare. I am not going into much detail of these things, so I am going to write monopoly and dead weight loss. So basically, what is meant by dead weight loss? That is the loss in consumer and producer surplus. When the prices are going to be changed in that way, where the consumer is facing a welfare loss or producer is facing a welfare loss, so we say this is called dead weight loss. We studied this dead weight loss in the imposition of indirect taxes, if you remember. When government imposed indirect taxes, so that was causing a dead weight loss. So do you remember the diagram of monopoly? What is, or any imperfect competition? This is the demand curve faced by the monopolist. This is the demand curve which is faced by the monopolist, and that's equal to average revenue, and marginal revenue also starts from the same point. Okay. Now you can see this is the marginal cost of production. What is the profit maximizing level of this monopolist? He has to produce at this point where marginal cost equals to marginal revenue. So at this level of output, he will be able to maximize the profit. And which price he is going to set in the market? This is the market price. The price setter is the monopolist. So he is setting this high price in the market because he is going to maximize his total profit. Okay, look here. What is marginal cost pricing? Marginal cost pricing is that when price equals to marginal cost. This is the allocative efficiency point. If firm is charging a price equal to the marginal cost of production, so it achieves what? Allocative efficiency. So this is the allocative efficiency point where price is equal to marginal cost. If firm has to set this price and it has to produce this level of output. Okay. So this area under the demand curve would be the surplus is the area between the demand and the price of the product. Clear? So instead of this price, if market monopolist is setting price equal to marginal cost of production, so consumer surplus area would have been increased. Okay? But actually he sets price higher than marginal cost. So this trapezium, like this rectangle and triangle, where these are going, we see this is now the consumer surplus area, which is reduced one. He converted this part of consumer surplus into producer surplus. Previously, if he has to set this price, so this area, this trapezium was a consumer surplus. Okay? Now this rectangle is converted into producer surplus because producer is setting a higher price. And the consumer surplus is reduced only the area under the demand curve. Okay? And you see these two triangles, now I have made it one single triangle. The upper triangle is showing the loss in consumer surplus, and this triangle is showing us the loss in producer surplus as he has reduced the output level in order to set a higher price. So this bigger triangle on both the sides, this is telling us the dead weight loss which is created by the monopolist. The dead weight loss area which is created by the monopolist, and the dead weight loss is the reason of the market failure because market will show us the allocative efficiency when price equals to marginal cost of production. But instead of having this allocative efficiency, he is going to set a price higher than the marginal cost of production. Therefore, he causes this area as a dead weight loss to the society. Some part of this dead weight loss is also borne by the producer himself, but some of the consumer surplus is converted into producer surplus. Okay, so this triangle is showing us the monopolist's welfare loss caused to the society due to his monopoly practice that he is the price setter. So he converts some of the consumer surplus into producer surplus, and this triangle where I have written DWI, dead weight loss, this is caused by the monopolist. Clear? Another dead weight loss you have studied in case of indirect taxes. So this is the equilibrium before the tax. Alright? So when tax is imposed, what happens? Supply will shift leftward. Now the consumer will pay this upper price and seller will receive this lower price. So this is the tax revenue, and these two triangles are showing us the dead weight loss due to taxes. Now the government is also causing the dead weight loss in the society when there are indirect taxes imposed by the government. Alright? Like tax is imposed on the necessities in order to increase the tax revenues. So those taxes which are imposed on necessities, they will be causing welfare loss both to the consumers and producers. So sometimes government actions are also causing the dead weight loss or welfare loss. So we find this thing as well in the government actions. Clear or not? So this is about the dead weight loss created by the monopolist or by the government actions. So now what are the tools which will be adopted by the government in order to correct the market failure and to bring inequity? What are those tools? Do you remember the things we studied in our AS levels? The first tool of government intervention, first is the regulation. What is that? The regulations, and within this regulation we also have price regulations like maximum and minimum prices. Okay. The second tool is what? Direct provision of goods and services. Direct provision of goods and services. Okay. The third tool can be taxes and subsidies. Alright. They are used to correct the market failure and redistribution of income and wealth. Okay. So, in order to internalize externalities, indirect taxes and subsidies are also used. Along with that, government is also using what? The pollution permits. I will explain to you what do we mean by pollution permits in order to internalize the externalities. What else we need? The fifth one, that is Coase theorem. Coase theorem, where property rights will be signed, and sixth one, that is the nudge theory. Nudge theory. And the seventh one, that is the income transfers. These are the tools, income transfers, they are used to reduce poverty in the country and redistribute income as well. So these are the different tools which we are going to study in this government microeconomic intervention. Clear? Regulation we studied in detail. So if you need further details, I will go through it. Regulation, the same thing we studied. What is that? Government is legislating the rules for the private producers and consumers. Like the green value goods are regulated by the government, either by having the rules, or sometimes government is putting minimum prices for the consumers of devalued goods. I will go into detail of these tools in our upcoming classes. So this is the main agenda or the things which we are going to study in this new unit of our syllabus. That's all. We will go into detail by tomorrow in our next class.